Hello and welcome to another segment of Interviews That Matter. I'm your host Raj Mehta. Friends, in this segment we bring those guests who influence our lives. This includes elected officials, policymakers, heads of major organizations and other dignitaries. It is my sincere hope that the knowledge brought in by these guests will help our community. Today we have such guest. His name is John DeCelle. John is a president and CEO of Nassau Financial Federal Credit Union. He has a big background within the conventional bank as well as the credit union. Let's meet John. Mr. DeCelle, thank you so much for coming.
So nice to be here. Thank you.
Really appreciate your time this morning.
Excited to be here.
And you are the first, our guest who is in a banking business and a credit union business rather. So welcome.
Thank you very much.
Right.
It's great to be here.
So first, we always go, about the background of you.
Sure.
Right? So we'll go about the background. That where were you before, and what happened in your life?
Okay. Well, grew up in upstate New York in the Albany area.
Okay.
Have been involved in financial services for going on 32 years this July. Actually started as a teller when I was going through college, and really worked through a variety of different roles in the branch environment as well as in operations. After graduating, went to work for a regional bank there, and then for a super regional, which at the time was called Fleet, and learned an enormous amount. And actually worked down here in the Melville area, probably about 20 years ago, and then back in Albany. And it's a very interesting industry because it has evolved so much, especially with the internet. It's a very, very different industry than it was 32 years ago. Prior to coming here to Long Island, I worked at CEFQ, which is the largest credit union in the Albany market.
Okay.
And I was their chief marketing and commercial banking officer. So I was responsible for marketing, public relations, e-commerce, and our commercial services group. Great company, really enjoyed it, but then the opportunity came to come to Long Island, and it's been just a great experience so far. I've been here for just about 4 months now, and it's been absolutely wonderful. The community has embraced me with open arms, and I'm really getting to enjoy being in the community and helping to do things in the community.
Well, tell us the truth. You missed Long Island, right?
I did miss Long Island. I'm a boater, so I mean, how can you not miss boating in Long Island?
There you go. There you go. So
it's just absolutely wonderful.
Exactly.
It's absolutely wonderful.
Exactly. Yeah. So 32 years ago, you started in a banking industry, right?
32 years ago.
Tell us, what did you do at that time?
At that time, I was a part-time teller, and ironically, ATMs were the new technology at the time,
right?
And we needed to be able to help members get accustomed to using self-service technology.
Right.
And it's so quite different now, because now everything's done on your phone.
Right.
Where back then you really needed to have that human interaction, and it's amazing when you look back and see the evolution of how the financial services industry is delivering its products and services.
So at that time, interaction with the people, real people, was kind of more. Was that? I mean, is still important, or is that?
Oh, it's still important. Absolutely. I mean, I just think the consumers have changed, and our industry has evolved. Where before it was always working with your customer, your member, to help them perform a transaction or do a task. Now it's more of an advisory role. It's more of a consultative approach to help people prepare for the future, to help people prepare for their kids' education, retirement, and aging parents. So it's really the full spectrum, but it's less doing a transaction or doing a task now, and more about providing resources and tools for people to improve their financial literacy. So it is very, very different.
Right? No, I mean, normal transaction is done through other ways, like electronic ways.
Absolutely. I mean, the last time even though I work in a credit union, the last time I actually went to a teller to do a transaction, I couldn't tell you when it was. I do everything on my phone. I can take a picture of if somebody gives me a check, I can take a picture of it, and with a press of a finger, it's in my account. So you don't have to go for those routine transactions anymore. Some people like the social aspect of it.
Right.
It's still,
Right.
it's part of people's social makeup that they want to pop in. We have very friendly tellers, as do other organizations, and I get letters all the time from our members about how much they love going into a particular branch and having a particular teller take care of them, because they get to know them. They know about their families. They know about struggles maybe that they're having, and they've become really, it's a friendly relationship. So it is very, very different today. The internet can do everything. You can apply for a car using your phone now. You don't have to always go in and see somebody. But we do offer great tools, and we have wonderful people in the front office in our branches that are able to help people when they have they're struggling making a decision on should they do this or should they do that. So it's a very different environment than it was 32 years ago.
Right. 32 years ago, you always went to the teller.
Absolutely. You always went to the teller. You always had to go see somebody in what was called the new accounts area.
Right.
And again, now it's a much more consultative approach to financial services. 2008, the world really did change a great deal when probably one of the worst economic storms hit Wall Street since the Great Depression. And so many things happened to people and their money and their retirement that they needed that trusted advisor to be able to talk with, to figure out how do they rebound and how do they prepare for the future. And that's really what our responsibility is to the members that we serve. We need to be there to help them and guide them through their financial life cycle.
So the difference between conventional bank and a credit union, right? I mean,
sure. Banks are for profit and credit unions are a cooperative. So basically we're owned by our members. Okay. And what we do is we strive to provide our members with better rates, lower fees, and really the best service we can to be able to help serve them. And at the end of the day, we don't have stockholders or shareholders. We have our members, and our members are our owners. It's a cooperative. It's a very different type of a cycle. We make decisions, and everything I do, I look through the lens of the member and I look through the lens of the employee. Because if we're providing a great atmosphere and environment for our employees, that's going to carry over to providing great member service. So for us, every decision we make, we think through how will this impact our member, and can we make our members' experience with us better? And if the answer is yes, we move forward. If it's questionable, we rethink it and we come up with a different solution, because we need to make sure we're serving our members, because they're our owners. They own us.
So members are the only one who gets benefit from the credit union services, or anybody can do it?
You need to join a credit union, so basically you need to open an account.
Okay.
It's not as complex as it was 2 decades ago. The rules of credit unions have changed slightly. So for us, as an example, anyone that lives, works, worships, goes to school, or volunteers in Nassau County can be a member of Nassau Financial Federal Credit Union. And with that, it provides them with great products and services, lower fees, very competitive rates from a deposit standpoint, from a lending standpoint. And then what we do is we pass that on to our members in terms of great services, but then we also work in the community to help make a difference. Our industry was founded on the foundation of people helping people. So I firmly believe that credit unions, as well as all companies, have a social responsibility to give back to the community. And that's not always writing a check. As much as it's important to get money into the community, especially some nonprofits who are truly struggling. But time and talent is also a great gift to give. So volunteerism and helping nonprofits, because of providing a volunteer with expertise, can go a long way.
So why would anybody go to bank then, if credit union has all this benefits?
Well, credit unions are great. I think people make decisions based on a variety of things. Convenience, who's got the best rate, and really at the end of the day, why do you make any decision? What's the benefit to you? What's in it for you? So what we need to do is make sure that our value proposition is different and competitive and means something to the members that we serve.
So tell us, like you used to work for a big bank, Fleet, right?
I did.
right? And then you moved into a credit union in the Albany area. So what was
Yep.
that transition?
Well, actually, in between, I went from Fleet to another regional bank, and then I decided to be a consultant, and I was a consultant for about 5 years, and then I went back into banking and worked at CEFQ, which is just an absolutely wonderful organization in the Capital Region, and I will tell you, I'm definitely using that as my model to transform and grow my organization. Very, very different. You know, when I worked at Fleet, it was very much profit-centric,
Right.
and it was about providing shareholder value. Where in a credit union, it's about providing member value. So it is very different. At the end of the day, we all have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that we're safe and sound, and that we're able to, you know, meet the needs of our members or our customers. But the motive behind is a little bit different.
So you had to transition your profit motive into a community bank.
And
you had to transition.
Yeah, it was very. I think it helped a bit because I was a consultant in between.
Oh, okay.
But you know, I remember when I first joined a credit union.
Right.
You know, I would make proposals about doing different things.
Right.
To be more efficient, more effective, and to provide more profit.
Right.
And you know, I had a great CEO, and he was just like, no, this is how we do things. And you know, you really do have to change your mindset a bit.
Give us an example, please.
Good example is if you want to be more profitable, you could raise the fee for an insufficient funds charge. And you could do that like that, and you could make a lot of money.
Right.
Well, if you've bounced a check, that means maybe you have a hardship, or maybe you need to learn how to open a balance checking account or do different things. So, you know, the mentality is very different. That, you know, it's working with members to provide them with tools so that they don't bounce checks, to provide them with alternatives, so that they can have overdraft protection or do a sweep from their savings account. Do overdrafts happen? Sure. Do we have to charge for them? Sure, because we experience a cost.
Right.
But we look at what our cost is, and we mark that up enough to cover what it costs us to be able to deliver that service. Where if you look at, you know, fee schedules at credit unions versus some other financial institutions, they're very, very different.
But at the end of the day, the rules, same rules, like for example, you know, before approving any credit or
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're you know, both industries are have governing bodies within the government.
Right.
You know, for banks, it's the FDIC. For credit unions, it's the NCUA. You know, we need to make sure that, you know, I need to make sure as a CEO that, you know, we're safe, sound, and stable. That we have great policies and procedures, that we're safeguarding our members, that we're safeguarding our employees. You know, we have pretty much identical rules with regard to lending and you know, the different regulatory things that we have to do, which has changed a great deal, as I said. And as we were talking earlier, you know, since 2008, you know, the regulatory burden that has been put on the financial services industry is just tremendous.
Exactly.
As well as, you know, the changes in technology. So, you know, we're a smaller credit union, and we have to be very prudent in how we are delivering services, but we need to make sure we can do it just like the big guys do. So it's important that we, you know, have, you know, mobile apps and a great online banking experience, because while we have a segment of members that want to come in the branches and talk to us, we have this growing segment, being, you know, the 20-somethings that want to do everything on their iPhone.
Right.
So, you know, you really are, it's like that barbell. You know, you've got boomers on one end and you've got the millennials on the other, and it's important that we provide services that meet both of their needs. It's important that we provide them with educational alternatives, so that, you know, the boomers know, are they really ready to retire, and can they retire? And for the millennials, it's here's how to save for that first house or buy that first car. You know, very, very different financial services needs. And it's our responsibility to make sure that we provide them with everything, all the right tools to make good decisions.
But the lending rules are similar to
Oh,
the
absolutely.
normal
Yeah,
you know, bank,
yeah.
right?
Yes, absolutely.
So you also look at the same thing.
We have to, yeah. It's you know, we have to make sure we're lending fair and across the board, so that, you know, fair lending is fair lending, whether you're at a bank or whether you're at a credit union. So we have very, very similar, identical regulations that we have to follow.
How like I'm not too knowledgeable about this, so how a credit unions can start? Like banks, I know that you gotta have mortgage banking, there's a banking, normal banking, but the credit union, who can start and how can it start?
Who can start a credit union?
Create a credit union,
well, there's an application process that you would have to go through with the
Right.
NCOA to create a new credit union.
Right.
I don't know if I would have the drive, because to start a brand new organization with all the technological advancements that have taken place and the regulatory burden, that would be really quite a feat for someone to do, but it can be done. Basically, you need to apply to the NCOA. You need to have a seg group, or a subgroup of members that want to come together to join and form the organization. And then once you're approved, you go through the process of being able to process transactions. But again, I think between technology costs and the regulatory burden, that would be quite the feat.
Yeah, so that's why probably a lot of people cannot do it, right? Obviously, or would not want to do it.
Well, starting a brand new one, no, but consumers can, members, of the community can come into our credit union or other credit unions to join.
Right.
Some credit unions are limited to where you work. Some credit unions have a community charter like we do. So we have everyone in Nassau County. If you live, work, worship, you can join the organization. But there are some credit unions that go back to the original roots where they started at a particular employer group.
Right.
And unless you work for that employer, you can't join.
Right.
So, it is very different. So there's different forms of charters that you can have.
So depending on the charter that you
Correct.
create, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, right. I mean, so you just joined this Nassau Financial Credit Union.
I did, yeah.
In February, so congratulations.
Thank you very
on,
much, yeah.
Tell us something about what is your vision and what do you intend to do? Like right now, you're already 400 million.
We're 400 million. Our goal really is to grow the organization within the next 18 months to 2 years by another $100 million, and within 5 years to be at $1 billion. To do that, we need to expand in terms of opening additional branches. We're changing up our product set, so we're launching a new checking account next week. We're doing some different lending programs, and we're working very hard to increase our brand awareness in the community. So part of that is getting out in the community and getting involved in the community. That to me is one of the most important things we can do. The more we can give back and help in the community, the more people will know about us.
Right. I mean, people have to know about you, and you do have a competition.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
We have credit union competition, we have bank competition, we have non-bank competition.
Right.
I mean, PayPal, Amazon is our competition as well. Walmart's our competition. I mean, they're all trying to get into the financial services arena so that they can control the transaction, the purchase, as well as the financial transaction.
Right. Right. Yeah. We were talking about the competition, and competition is there in every business and everywhere, and obviously, there are few ways that you can really grow. One is the, horizontal, and one is vertical, obviously, right?
Absolutely.
So once you do hard work, go into everywhere and try to convince people to come to you, and then they become a member. The other way is to buy other credit unions. Like, we have another big credit union CEO came in here on our show, Bethpage Federal Credit Union,
Sure, they're a great organization.
Right? So they, they grew basically by acquiring a lot of other credit unions, small credit unions.
Sure.
And now you mentioned that you wanted to grow more branches and you want to go 100 million. So,
it's you need to innovate and you need to grow, and part of that is adding some branches in key locations. Some of it's going to come through. If smaller credit unions do want to merge in, that's a great opportunity. As we were talking earlier, just purely due to some of the regulatory and technological costs that have come to bear, it's incredibly expensive to be able to operate. So by either consolidating or collaborating, it's a great way to be able to deliver services to the members. Bethpage has done a wonderful job. There's a situation where, the world changed for them when a large employer left, and they were very smart. They were innovative, and they did a wonderful job expanding throughout Long Island, and they do a great deal in the community. So I think very highly of them.
But see, I mean, do you have any plan of acquiring other credit unions?
In a friendly fashion, sure. I mean,
Friendly
if
fashion,
we
okay.
had a smaller credit union that was, has come to the realization that because of the cost of operating,
Right.
it's just too difficult. Absolutely, we would definitely talk with them and see what we could do. And part of that also is, what's their legacy and how can we help their legacy carry on, but not in a I don't have a list of here are the five I want to go after. That's not my style. That's not something I'm looking to ever do. Again, if a smaller organization came to us and said they were interested in partnering, we would definitely be interested in that. But right now, what I'm looking to do is do organic growth and to really innovate with some new products and services so that we can grow through acquiring members, not necessarily acquiring smaller institutions.
Tell me something about it. Like, I've seen like larger banks, right? Basically, cutting down the branches because, obviously the cost of branch is a lot of money.
Very expensive.
It's a lot of money.
Sure.
And your growth plan is to increase the number of branches.
It is, partly because right now we have 4 locations. I think there's some other key areas within Nassau County that would be beneficial to us and to the community to put a branch. Definitely things are going more technological.
Right.
The web and mobile devices are the future. However, in that short-term period, and I say short-term, the next 5 to 10 years, you really do need to have branches in the community so that it raises awareness and members can come in and open. We do very, very well with acquiring members through the internet. And I'm very pleased with how we're doing that. But I also know there's been a gap filled, or a gap created, excuse me, by some of the larger banks through consolidation where they have closed locations.
Right.
So, we want to go in and help the community and fill that gap by providing great services.
So, I mean, basically because, you want a community involvement, you want to have a presence.
Sure.
Presence over there so that they can look at the board.
It's not so much about putting your name on the board. It's about being out there and letting people realize what we're trying to do to make a difference. And don't get me wrong, having your name up on the board or on a wall or in a program guide or whatever it might be is a great way of building brand recognition.
Right.
To me, I think if we can deliver and help our communities grow and prosper, we'll help through tugging at heartstrings. I mean, we want to be able to get out there and help people have that dream of first home ownership. We want to be able to deliver seminars that will show people here's the path to financial freedom. We want to go out and help clean up a playground too. So that's part of it. It's getting out there. It's volunteering. Not just sweat volunteering, but time and talent. Maybe it's a nonprofit that's having a hard time managing their finances.
Right.
Our CFO can go in, help them reestablish budgets, make some changes in how they're doing some of their spending, and then that nonprofit continues to grow and prosper and is helping people in the community. So there's a variety of ways that that credit unions like ours really are out there and trying to make a difference in the community.
I think that's a big value that you provide, that you just mentioned. The other banks and they, if you're not profitable, that's your problem.
Yeah, and that's a sad thing because I think there's, at least from my past experience as well, there's many times you can look at an organization, a nonprofit, say, and go in and have a fresh set of eyes to make a change and make it happen. So that's where we really do need to let our time and talent, and not necessarily just mine, but our staff, get out and make a difference.
Yeah, I mean that's a big plus. That's a big plus. And on top of that, you said the rates are lower, and you're traditionally right. I mean, and I'm not dealing with credit unions.
It's a very competitive market right now. I mean the Fed last December just recently in December raised rates almost, that took almost 10 years for that to happen.
Right.
So it's a very, very competitive market right now from a rate perspective. There's very thin margins, but it's important that, especially if it's, say, working with a nonprofit, sometimes it's just a matter of helping them restructure some debt. That can make all the difference in the world. So, it's not always about what's put on the application, it's digging deeper to see how you can help them.
Operating cost is the main cost center for you, I guess, right? I mean,
Yes.
do you get membership money?
Sure.
Charge,
There's
right?
certain
Membership
things that we
fee.
have to charge fees for, but there's certain things that, we have very, very competitive fee structure, much more competitive than, some other financial services companies. Again, it's looking at it through the member's lens. It's looking at what does our actual cost, what is our actual cost for delivering that service, and then the human interaction that we have to do to manage it,
Right.
and then we pass that along to our member. So, absolutely, credit unions do have to charge fees. There's no way any organization couldn't.
Right.
But it's how deep are you going to dig? And for us, it's really pass through plus operating cost.
Not a yearly fee.
Oh no, there's no
no
annual
yearly fee,
No,
right?
no,
No
no, no.
annual fee or anything
Not
like
at all.
that. You
No.
join the credit union.
You can
All
join
do
the
is
credit
account
unions, you open an
the
account.
account and that's it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then you are eligible for whatever.
You're a member for life.
Member for
so
life.
even if you were to move out of the area, you can still retain your membership.
Yeah.
So it's a wonderful opportunity. It's a wonderful opportunity.
Good, good. So if someone needs to, let's say, someone has a business, small business, and needs to borrow money, give us some idea that how do they go about it?
Well, for a small business, they would need to come in and talk with an advisor to see what's the best solution for them. A small business banking platform is something that we'll be putting together this summer for our members. So right now we only offer retail products, but by the fall we'll be offering small business solutions. But I can speak from my previous life. It's really it's sitting with an advisor. It's sitting to find out what is it that they're looking to do. What debt does the company have, and structuring a loan that meets their needs. Sometimes it's a multi-step approach. Sometimes it's helping them, clean up their credit report, or sometimes it's helping them, restructure some of their other accounts, and then it's that next step to get the loan.
So, like obviously, you have limited number of people working for you, and then, all these members, who may have some issues, where you just mentioned about the non-profit restructuring their debt and all that. Your CFO cannot go everywhere.
No,
So
but we have a lot of talented people.
how do you know that I have a problem? Or
from-
do I have to tell you I have a problem? Help
Well,
me.
it's from having conversations with people.
Okay.
If
Right.
if it's if it's the approach of you're the account number and you're just doing the transaction, that's not the environment that we have.
Okay.
It's really getting to know who our members are.
Right.
It's conversing with them.
Right.
Sometimes it's helping them uncover unperceived needs and acting upon perceived needs. So sometimes somebody will come in thinking they have one type of a solution that they need to get to achieve their goal, but by talking with the member and by really getting to know them and knowing what their goals are, their dreams are, their aspirations, we're able to say, what, this is probably the better solution for you. And then, that's a win-win all the way around.
Right. Yeah. Before we go into some interesting subject.
Okay.
I mean, this was interesting.
Oh,
I'm not
thanks.
saying this was not. This was very interesting. But I'm talking about, the political situation in this country. Obviously, you're from Albany, and I have to ask you this. Do you have any special message for the viewers of this program? Do you want, do you have any message for them?
Well, I think it's a very interesting political landscape right now, and I think everyone has to really understand, what do any candidate, not just the presidential candidates, but any candidate,
Right.
what is it that they're looking to do to help the community, help the economy, help the nation. And I think sometimes we get caught up in some sensationalism and we lose sight of what the actual issues are. So, my thought is always, what's the issue and who's going to help solve the problem of that issue? And that, I think, is the most important thing to do.
Who is your choice? Clinton, Trump?
I'm undecided as of right now.
Undecided, right?
I am undecided
Okay.
as of right
It's
now.
a good answer. That's what I expected anyway.
That Vince is feeling pretty good over here, huh? So no, it's really it's the issues that are being raised
Right.
are very, very critical, especially to our nation. And it's important to really take a look at, what is the issue and
Right.
how can the candidates solve that problem. And it's been very, very difficult with this very interesting political season.
Well, I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Talking about the credit union business and conventional banking and all that.
Thanks.
So appreciate it.
No, I'm thrilled to be here in the community and really looking forward to getting more engaged and helping to make a difference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions, comments, you can email me at rajmitv@gmail.com. That's again rajmitv@gmail.com. You can watch our prior shows on YouTube at youtube.com/Infosys International. That's again youtube.com/Infosys International. Until next time, have a great week.
Thanks, Raj.